That moment when your entire civilization could be compared to the follow system in World of Warcraft. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me kind of explain. In World of Warcraft, in Warlords of Draenor and then Legion, all that, there was introduced a system. It was kind of like a little mini-game and all that, to where you could send out some of your troops, and it would take a couple hours real time to actually have it to where the troops would come back after their raid or whatever you tasked them to do. And when they come back, they'll give you goods, jewelry, whatever, gold. They'll give you something rare. Basically, it was a tiny little mini game to just bypass the time and all that, to have something to do when you're kind of bored overall. And overall, it was a very interesting aspect of Legion. Definitely a lot better than it was in Warlords of Draenor. Well, with what's going on in this episode of, Overlord, you can compare it to that. Basically, Ainz is like us, the character, okay? Us playing World of Warcraft, and he's sending his follower out there to, go and do something, basically. Go and get him some gold, whatever he wants. But instead of it being Ainz, it's Ainz sending out Kyokutis, and then also after that, you have it to where it's him sending out his underling to be able to gain the stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's kind of sad in a way. It's kind of like saying their civilization is so trash that it's nowhere near the level of Ainz or, Cocutus or any of the other normal underlings. They're nowhere near that. And it's just hilarious when you really stop to think about that. Just the level of the Lizardmen compared to everybody else we know. Because once again, I want to point out something, okay? If you noticed the, Lich in this, the Elder Lich that, the Lizardmen were fighting, he wasn't using any high tier spells. He was basically just using Fireball and stuff. Nothing ridiculous. Just summon, standard undead, using some Fireballs. But that was basically it. And so when you look at it, the Lich, at the end of the day, was incredibly weak. I think his level, actually, I don't think it'll state it in the, anime, but in the light novel, I think he was around, like, a level 20, 21, somewhere around in there. He was a very low level. I mean, that's incredibly low in terms of, where Ainz is at and everybody else is at, how their in-game boss status. They're very high up there, and you have someone like the Lich that's level 20, and he was given somewhat of a trouble or problem to the Lizardmen, and they were having to struggle up against him. I mean, they took him down at the end of the day, but still, they still struggled. And so it's kind of scary when you realize just the level gap from the Lizardmen to where everybody else is at in, Ainz's, guild. And that's scary. It's really scary. So with that being said, though, let's talk about how this episode was done. Kind of the build-up and setup for, Cocutus and what he's trying to accomplish. So, I want to try to keep this spoiler-free. I don't want to spoil anime-onlys. I'm trying to do that. It's, something I don't want to do. I understand how it feels to be spoiled, and so I want to try to not spoil anything, so forgive me, okay, if I try to weed my way around a certain path and all that, and it sounds like I'm trying to avoid explaining something. But basically, though, in this episode, Cocutus, he is tasked with, taking down the Lizardmen. And he was told by Ainz himself, you're not allowed to go to the battlefield. Now, automatically when you view this, there was hints given in this episode from, Dim, and then also from Intoma, my bad, I was saying her name right. Intoma, she was also slightly kind of giving hints. I mean, you had it to where, Dim, he was given some hints. And basically, he was tasked to where you cannot, move. You have to stay here, and you gotta lead your men, and you gotta take down, the Lizardmen. That's basically what he has to do. And right now, he's wondering, like, can he really do this? I mean, if he was to go there on the battlefield, he would just end it like that. I mean, let's look at the strength difference, okay? Cocutus is obviously near, like, in-game level, while that Elder Lich, that's, like, low, like, early game level. And if Cocutus was to go there, he would just end everything. It would be instant wipe. Everything would be annihilated if he was to go. But for some reason, Ainz told him, you're not allowed to go. And he gave Cocutus a very weak and underperforming army. I mean, let's look at what the Lizardmen stated in this episode. They said, is there even a leader? Is there even a leader leading this army? Because they're so unorganized, they're just charging in. I mean, they had some tactics overall, but it wasn't anything impressive. The Lizardmen were able to overpower them and demonstrate that they were just superior when it came to their tactics of warfare. And so that let us know right there, even if they were lower level than, Kyokutis' army that he was sending in, the undead army, it doesn't matter because they had better tactics to take down the party. party. It's kind of like how when you're playing, an MMORPG, and you're going into, like a dungeon or whatever, and you might have a boss that, say, is over the level cap. Let's say the level cap is 100, and the boss is, an unknown level, or it's level 105 or 110, he's above the level cap, which he would be very strong, ridiculous, and you would have to have a big raid party to be able to take that boss down. That's basically the equivalent here. The Lizardmen, they had an organized party, and were able to take down the disorganized enemy, and that's what's happening. And so, it's kind of interesting when you do those comparisons there, but on top of that, though, you have to look at it like this. What is Ainz trying to teach Kyokutus? What is he trying to make him learn, okay? That's the big thing. What is the objective here? I mean, when you think about it, Ainz right now, for him to tell him not to go there, and, he could easily end it like it's nothing, why would he give him an underperforming army that can't take them down? Strange. And that's why Dim popped up a very interesting question. Does Ainz even want you to win? Does he even want you to be able to beat them? And that was a very interesting question when he said that. So it makes you start thinking, what is the true objective here? And obviously, Kyokutus, he has no idea. He literally has no idea what to really do. He just was been tasked to take down the Lizardman tribe. Now, let's also look at some little details that were hinted at throughout the episode. For instance, the maid, the bug maid, Intoma, she had a very suspicious action in this episode. For instance, when Kyokutus was talking with Dim, she had this little paper seal on her face, and then you saw it disappear once the conversation ended with Dim, and it makes you question, what is she doing? What was that? Was she doing anything behind the scenes? Was she talking to him when she's the person that communicated with him? I mean, is she going behind, everybody's back? There's a lot of questions there. So, I just want to point that out, that was in this episode, and it was very shady or suspicious with that going on. Now, moving over to the other stuff, though, let's talk about how the Lizardmen are doing. So, the Lizardmen overall, obviously, they're not near Ainz's level. They're not anything impressive in terms of combat potential. I mean, even Frostpain, at the end of the day, the weapon that, Azardi was using, it's nothing relatively special. I mean, it looks cool and all, but it's nothing special. It's like probably a low-tier item in the grand scheme of things, and it really can't do much at all. And since the undead kind of have somewhat of a resistance to cold, it's not going to do much to them. So Frostpain, in some way, is effectively useless. That's why it didn't work against the Elder Lich. When he's like, oh, you think the cold affects me? It's because since they're undead, they are kind of immune or resistant to cold effects. And that's basically what was happening there. Now, on top of that, though, we also got to look at how the others were fighting. I mean, we have, Zin, he was going in and all that. He was fighting up against a bunch of, undead, proving his raw strength. And then you had, our little white lizard, Lulu. She was just healing and being the clerk of the party. And so you kind of have this, adventure party going on, being formed right here. And so when you're thinking about this from a game perspective, that's basically what's happening here. It's like they're the players, and they're at low, tier level and all that, and they're slowly progressing, getting better as a, group, and then eventually they might be able to stand before Ainz himself. That's what's happening right there, as you can see. It's kind of like what you would see in a game, where a quest line, you're going through the quest line, you're slowly wiping out armies or minions and stuff, and you press on forward. I feel like that's what the writer was trying to imply with this arc. Now, anyways, can we take a moment to factor in that the army that is attacking the Lizardmen is the Underlings of the Underlings? Because, let me explain the chain. You have Ainz, and then you have the Guardians, which Kyokutus, he's underneath Ainz. But Kyokutus, he has the Elder Lich under him, and then the Elder Lich is leading the army. So, basically what's going on there is that they're not even getting, the main top-tier people to fight. They're getting these low-tier undead that they're fighting, and they're nowhere near the end-game level. That's scary. Imagine if they find out who really is leading the army and how strong that person is. It's probably freak them out completely. Anyways, let's talk about the Elder Lich, okay? Because I saw some questions today. Many were asking me on social media and on YouTube. They were asking me, hey, Chibi, so the Elder Lich, he was defeated. So, is that a bad thing? Because, an Elder Lich, when you think of an Elder Lich, the title, Elder Lich, you think of someone that's very valuable, something very important. But in reality, the Elder Lich is not vital at all. He's not important because he is pretty easy to summon. Now, I don't expect the anime to kind of clarify these details, so I'm going to go out of my way to explain to you anime onlys. Ainz, since he has, his certain class, he's able to, be what he is able to have certain daily skills he can use. He has, basically skills to where he can have free summons. He can freely summon undead. undead. He can summon low-class tier undead, mid-tier, and high-tier undead daily. He can constantly spawn them. It's a free usage he has every day, so obviously he's been effectively doing that, just making more and more undead as the days go on, and that's what you have here. You basically have low-tier undead that Ainz just uses because it's a passive with his class, and he's summoning them back. So the Elder Lich, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing impressive, it's nothing scary, it's nothing that's really going to harm or mess with Ainz at all. It's just a random summon that's like weak. It's like what you would see in World of Warcraft as an imp. You know, the little imp you could summon your first summon? That's basically what you have there. So yeah, just to do a quick clarification if you were wondering. And also, the Elder Lich is also weaker than the Death Knight. So, there you go. If you also didn't know about the Death Knight, you know, the Death Knight from the first season, how strong it was, yes, the Elder Lich is weaker than the Death Knight. Now, moving on, though, let's talk about, let's see, what else is there to talk about? I don't know. Let's see. I talked about the Lizardmen. I guess let's talk about the relationship with, Lulu and, Zardu. So, Lulu and Zardu's relationship. They definitely were coming on strong in this. I don't remember it being that, like, point-blank obvious throughout the light novel, but I guess most likely the reason why it feels so obvious is because, number one, it's animated, but number two, it does feel like they're kind of progressing the pacing of this arc very quickly. I mean, I feel like they're cutting out some things, but it's nothing relatively important in the grand scheme of things, but it does feel like Studio Madhouse is kind of rushing past this arc a little bit quicker than normal, because in terms of how the community feels about the Lizardman arc, not many light novel readers really do like this arc. Even though I like it to some extent, I do understand why many would not like it, but this is more of like a precursor or a test for the writer to eventually expand upon this and do it better in upcoming arcs. That's basically what's happening here, and so I can see why many might not like this arc and all that, and I can see why maybe Studio Madhouse wants to kind of, you know, just kick it to the side, keep pushing as fast as they can for them to get to the next content. I can understand that, and that's kind of what it looks like they're actually doing when I view these recent episodes of Overlord. So, I'm going to end it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button down below. And so with that, I love you guys. I hope you all have a very, very wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe, stay healthy, and stay warm, or if it's hot where you live, you know, stay cold. But I love you guys. Chibi out.